Some stories aren't written in diaries or love letters. They're tucked away in glances, in silences, and in the timing that never seemed right, until it finally was. My name is Grace Walters. I'm 37. I live in a small, peaceful neighborhood on the edge of town. The kind of place where fences are more for decoration than division, and where neighbors still wave at each other from the porch. I moved here after my divorce. Just me and my peace. I wasn't searching for anything. Not love. Not adventure. Just quiet days and predictable routines. Then came Liam. He was 24. My stepson, if only for a little while. His father and I had divorced 5 years ago, and I hadn't seen Liam since the court papers were signed. Back then, he was just a quiet, lanky teenager, caught between sports practice and the mess of two households breaking apart. So when I opened my front door one early autumn afternoon and found him standing there with a suitcase, taller, older, sharper in the jawline, I barely recognized him. "Hey, Grace," he said softly. "Mind if I crash here for a few weeks? I've got a new job in the city, and I'm looking for an apartment." I hesitated, not because I didn't want him there, but because something in his eyes had changed. He wasn't a kid anymore, and something about his presence unsettled the quiet life I had carefully built. "Of course," I said. "You'll take the guest room." That first night, I sat in my room unable to sleep. I could hear him moving around in the kitchen, clinking glasses, softly humming some tune I didn't know. The house, which had been so still for years, suddenly felt full again. Over the next few days, we fell into a rhythm. Morning coffee at the same time. Sharing dinners. Taking turns with dishes. He fixed my leaky faucet without me asking. Mowed the lawn before I even noticed it had grown. One evening, we sat out on the porch watching the sun fade behind the trees. A soft breeze played with the edge of my dress. Liam leaned back in his chair, legs stretched out, a quiet calm around him. "I always loved this porch," he said. "Even when I was younger. It felt like the only place where things weren't falling apart." I glanced at him. "You never really talked much back then." He gave a small laugh. "Didn't think you'd want to hear what I had to say." "I would've," I whispered. We didn't speak after that for a long while. Just sat there in the dim light, sharing the kind of silence that didn't ask for anything more. But silence can say a lot when you let it stretch too far. One rainy afternoon, I came home from the grocery store soaked through and struggling with bags. Liam rushed to the door, took the bags from my arms, and set them on the kitchen counter. "You always do things alone," he said. Not a complaint, more like a quiet observation. I gave a tired smile. "Old habit." He stepped closer. "Let someone in, Grace. Just once." I looked up at him, suddenly aware of how close he was. The air between us felt heavy with something unspoken. Something fragile. I turned away before it could settle. That night, I couldn't sleep again. My heart was loud in the silence. My past whispered reasons to run. My future asked, "What if?" The days went on, the tension between us building like slow thunder. I found myself drawn to his laughter, his eyes, the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching. One evening, we cooked together. Something simple, just pasta and roasted vegetables. But he made it feel like a dance, handing me things, brushing past with purpose, always a little too close. When we sat down to eat, he raised his glass and said, "To unexpected homes." I blinked. "What do you mean?" He shrugged, but his voice was soft. "This place. It feels more like home than anywhere I've been in years." My hands trembled a little on the fork. "Liam." He met my gaze. Calm. Unapologetic. "I know you think it's wrong. Complicated. Maybe it is. But I'm not your stepson anymore, Grace. I'm just a man, sitting across from a woman he respects. a woman he's drawn to. I didn't know what to say. So I didn't. That night, I stood by my window and watched the rain fall. The ache in my chest wasn't fear. It was longing, and the question that had been building inside me finally rose to the surface. Why not me? Why not now? The next morning, I found him in the kitchen, barefoot, reading the newspaper, sipping coffee. He looked up. Good morning. I walked up to him, took the mug from his hand, set it on the counter. Then I kissed him. It was gentle, scared, honest. When we pulled apart, I whispered, "You were right. I've been alone too long." From then on, we stopped pretending. He found an apartment a month later, just across the street. We gave ourselves space to breathe, to be careful, to move slowly, for once. But love, when it's real, has its own pace. Now, a year later, he still shows up at my door with coffee. Still fixes the things I didn't ask him to. Still looks at me like he's never wanted anything more. We don't tell everyone our story. Not because we're ashamed, but because the world doesn't always understand quiet beginnings. But I understand. And that's enough. Because sometimes, love isn't loud. It's not roses or grand gestures. Sometimes, it's just a familiar knock on the door, and a heart finally saying, yes.